This is what I look like in New York where I live. This is called the off-duty cop look. Yeah. But if you live in the suburbs, then I probably look like a failed youth pastor. I do have kind of an unusual look. I was thinking of this today. I have a hard side part. Yeah, very trustable face. I look okay in a suit. I look like I could go to some small town in Utah, run for mayor, win, and not even live there. I'm proud to be your mayor. And I promise to consider moving here. Eventually, yeah. Some of you are nodding, like, he does look like a mayor. I'm actually a lot older than I look. My kids are 24 and 26. I know. I got married when I was 10. My daughter wanted to get married at 19. 19, a little young, I thought. I don't know. And the guy she's with didn't want to ask permission. The new generation of men, they're very brave online. You know, these YouTube comments, very brave. In person, not as much. You have to ask, buddy. Listen, you have to ask. I'm old school. You want to marry my daughter, you have to come over to my house, knock on my door, and fight me. Somebody clapped. The weird thing about looking like a Utah mayor is I actually grew up mostly in Ecuador and El Salvador. Weird, right? My name is Kirk Smith. It's as white as it gets, guys. In New York, I'm a Bronx guy. And when I moved to the Bronx, my buddy was like, "You're moving to the Bronx? You're not scared to live in the Bronx?" And then I had to explain. I was like, "No, man. I grew up in the 80s in El Salvador." Which is like growing up now in El Salvador. And they moved to Ecuador. Now, Ecuador's a little country. New York City, not a lot of Ecuadorians. Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, those are the big two group of Latinos. Every once in a while, they'll meet somebody that's like third generation from Ecuador, and then they won't believe me that I'm from Ecuador because I look like a Bible salesman. And I said, like, "You're from Ecuador? Really? What part?" And I'll tell them the truth. En la ciudad, Guayaquil. El vecindario Ordesa, pero también vivimos en Chance, en La Garzota, en el sur. No sé si lo ubicas. And then they'll say, "I don't speak Spanish." You know, when I speak Spanish, doesn't it look like you're watching the Mexican channel? It's been dubbed. It's just like the pinkest guy ever sounds like. María. Esa man no la conozco, no sé ni quién es. Ese bebé no puede ser mío. The subtitles are just like, "Not my baby." Spanish is my first language, but I'm like 6'2", and I have blue eyes, so it looks like I'm from the Border Patrol. I can always tell where people are from, whether they laugh at that or whether they're like, "That's a good idea." That's funny. Speaking of the border, I was in Norway. I do some cruises sometimes, and I did one in Norway recently, and wow, that was an experience. The Border Patrol agent in Norway was one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. I know, it's crazy. She's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Honey, anything you tell me." "No, what's your purpose in Norway?" "I think it's fate." "Do you have anything to declare?" "I think I'm in love and I'd like a thorough pat down." Americans don't know a lot about geography. I don't know if you know this, a lot of Europeans think Americans are dumb. Yeah, I don't know if we're dumb. I don't know. You know, we've got NASA. You know, there's no Portuguese NASA. We've got Tesla. You know what I mean? There's no Italian Tesla. You ever driven a Fiat? Fix it again, Tony. Well, one thing Americans don't know anything about is geography. It's very interesting. They don't know. They don't care to know. I don't understand exactly why. And one of my favorite things in the world is when somebody's very confident but wrong. I love that. That's my love language. I was telling my buddies, like, "Oh, I do the cruise, and then I get off in Sweden and fly home." And he goes, "Oh, cool, Sweden, the Alps. Bring me some chocolate. And if you're not laughing, that's Switzerland. And so I go, no, that's Switzerland, different country. And he goes, no, it's not, same country, two different names. Continue. Yeah, you know, like the Netherlands and Germany. Do you think it's like 4 countries in Europe with like 40 different names? This week we're in Spain, or as the locals call it, Italia. I grew up overseas because my parents are missionaries. That's how it happened. Yeah. I'm not an army brat. I'm like a holy crap. Yeah. Tried to live in LA. It was not for me. A lot of nice people. The traffic situation is not for me. Woof. Nowhere to park. This is not an exaggeration. Sometimes I would park 9 blocks from my apartment. I bought a Razor push scooter just to keep in the trunk of my car to go the 9 blocks from my car to my apartment. I don't know if my neighbors ever knew that I had a car, because they would just see me leave on the morning on a scooter, come back on a scooter. Where's that guy going? I don't know. He's sitting at a date, and the guy's little scooter just pushed away like he's 5. My buddy was like, what happens if you meet a girl? What happens if you try to bring a lady over to your place? I'm like, that's a good point. I bought a second scooter. First scooter's pink. Second scooter's hot pink. Here's the difference between LA and Ecuador. In LA, I had a meeting once with an agent who was like, hey, you have a good look. You could totally play a doctor. In Ecuador, I could just be a doctor. Don't I kind of look like the doctor at a fertility clinic? Where all the kids kind of look like me? Who needs a baby who looks like Macaulay Culkin and sounds like Nicolas Cage? Who wants one? Who wants a little Kirk? I am dating again, and what a nightmare. I was married for 17 years, and technically I'm widowed, she passed, and it's a nightmare out there. Listen, first of all, I always tell my friends, if you're in a tough relationship, just stay in it. There's nothing out there. That's sad laughter. That's my favorite. I've dated 2 diabetics, so clearly I have a type. Type 1. Listen, they love a sugar daddy. I did it a second grade teacher. That's quite nice. They're very positive. It's great for your ego, you know. We were hanging out. I parallel parked. I kind of screwed it up. And she's like, Kirk, that was terrific. Your mom would be so proud. When we're making out, she gives me those gold stars. I was hanging out with my buddies, like, you have a watermelon sticker on your forehead. Oh yeah, I was a good boy earlier. I forgot. My best friend in LA, his name Eddie, is a lunatic. I went on a date with a girl, nice girl, no spark between us. And I'm like, I'm not gonna see her again, I don't think. He's like, you didn't like her, buddy. Do me a favor, send her my way. I'm like, buddy, dating doesn't work on a referral basis. I gotta be like, Lisa, I had a nice time with you. I'm sorry it didn't work out. Hey, listen, I'm gonna hand you off to my associate Alex at this point. He's gonna service you going forward. If I could please get 5 stars, please, 5 stars. Dated the doctor for a second, mostly because I don't have health insurance. And she broke up with me because I couldn't get over my late wife. I'm like, listen, you can't deny me for a pre-existing condition. Dated a lawyer for a second, hard to date a lawyer. You know, lawyers argue for a living, right? But she's a woman, also just better at arguing than I am. I could not win an argument. Let me give you an example. One time, she forgot to pick me up from the airport. And I was upset. We talked about it, and I apologized.